This is Under the Covers, a literature series where we get cozy with the people behind the page. This space is to highlight authors, narrators, creators, and book lovers alike as we dive into the stories that shape us and the community that keeps them alive. Welcome to Literature the Podcast. Hi, welcome back to Literature the Podcast. We're joined here today with Alexandra Vasti, and we're super excited to talk to you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm really delighted and very honored that you invited me.
Yeah, we're stoked. We just finished recording our episode about ladies in hating last night, and so it's super fresh on our minds, and we are ready to go.
It might be more fresh in your mind than mine. I don't know. Questions.
I've been talking about this book for a couple months, at least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been super obsessed. So I'm excited about this.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, like a little author bio for all of our listeners in case they haven't checked you out before?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, I'm Alexandra Vasti. I am, by day, I am a literature professor, and by night, by as many hours as I can fit in around the other part of my life, I also write romance novels. So I have a couple of historical romance novels out and historical romance novellas, and I'll also have a paranormal romance coming out later this year as well.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I do. I live in Louisiana.
Nice. We're from Alabama, so we're not that far away.
Yeah.
You know, I could guess that from
the accent
interaction we've had.
It comes and goes. It gets thicker at times, and it's fun.
I try real hard. I can rein it in, but why waste energy on that? You know what I mean? We're adorable.
No need to do that.
So, like we said, we recorded our episode for Ladies in Hating last night. And I wanted to start by congratulating you on doing something I didn't think was possible, which is make me like a historical romance novel. Because I have had such a tough time with that genre in that I love yearning. Give me all the yearning. I want it to almost be painful. I want you to be able to cut that tension with a knife. But I need the reward at the end of it. I need that spice. And most of the ones that I have just come across naturally didn't pay off the way that I had hoped that they would. And so, and my history with Ladies in Hating is my best friend texted me and she was like, the internet keeps throwing this book at me. I think we should read it. And I was like, cool. We'll give it a shot. I don't know how I'm going to like it. I didn't know anything about it. I was like, but you know, it looked fun. Gothic novelist, enemies to lovers, one bed trope, checked all the boxes. Yeah. I'm good with it. And so I'm reading and we hit a line where I just set the book down and I was like, wow, okay. That came harder than I thought it was going to. Pun intended. And so I was like, this is what I've been looking for in my whole experience with the genre. So thank you for one thing. I like to fancy myself a spice connoisseur. And this one topped the cake. It was really good. So thank you.
It was fantastic. We definitely gave it a really high spice rating because we were there. You know what I mean? It was fantastic. All of them. Fantastic. And also, like, we'll get into the spice because we want to talk about spice. Good. It's one of the things that we love on this pod.
Great. I'm so happy.
But I did want to talk about almost all of your other books are hetero romance, right? I wanted to ask, are there any other characters within your other novels that have any kind of LGBTQ plus like rep, or is Ladies in Hating your first foray into, you know, sapphic novels or just...
Yeah. Okay. Well, first, I just want to say that welcome to historical romance. I'm so excited. So I started reading historical romance when I was 11. And I always joke that it's the longest running love affair of my life. So I'm like so thrilled when I can like, I don't know, it's just this genre has brought me so much joy over my life that I'm just so happy to be able to share a little bit of that with other people. So yay, that I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled to hear that. So all right, yes. Okay, so the first thing that I ever released is a novella with a bi heroine, a historical romance novella with a bi heroine. So it is MF, but she's bi. So that was like my first thing ever. All of my books, I think, pretty much have a lot of secondary character queer rep. I have a lot of, actually someone was like, Alex, why do you always have like queer elders? And I was like, I really had to think about it, but I think it is because like that was my life experience. Growing up, like I come from a very large, Italian family and, I have lots of queer aunts and uncles, and that was just part of, Christmas and holidays, and that was just my experience was having that like older generation of having like long-term partnerships and being very happy. So I guess that was just something that was really just as I was rating families, that was what they looked like. So this is my first sapphic novel. I do have some other sort of, like I said, like kind of secondary characters or kind of like novellas, things like that. But definitely not my last. So I have a new series starting this year, and the third book in that series will also be sapphic again.
Yay! I'm really excited to read a lot of your other work. I enjoyed this book so much that I'm like, I don't just read sapphic literature. Obviously, it's our bread and butter because that's what we talk about on the pod. But we talk about all shades of the rainbow as well. So I'm super stoked about all of your other work. And I just wanted to know if there was anything else I could look forward to because, I got to give a nod to anybody who's part of the Rainbow Mafia.
I also really liked Selena as a character, so I'm looking forward to reading. I'm going to go back and read the rest of the trilogy.
Same. She's so interesting to me. And she was so small, not small, but like so much smaller in ours. And then when I found out that she had a whole book dedicated to her, I cannot wait.
Yeah, she's a badass. She's like I wish I was like that. She's very organized. I'm just like a wreck all the time.
We were just talking about ADHD and my therapist. Yeah. I'm like, I'll be there on Friday. So
yesterday I was like, look at my calendar and I just said podcast. And I was like, oh my God, what does that mean? Like, I was like, what am I? And I had to like search through and like through DMs, so it all turned out great.
The amount of texts I get from her that's like, what did we talk about? When was that thing happening? So I'm the designated note taker for the both of us.
She also has like a physical, handwritten, ridiculously organized planner that's like So I put it in my phone like you. I'll be like, dentist, but I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's my wife. I don't know if it's my kid. Like, right. But I know I got to be there,
Exactly. I'm going to be somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to show up, but I don't know if it'll be the right place or at the right time. Who knows?
So I wanted to just talk about one of the things that I really loved in Ladies in Hating, and then reading a little bit at the end of the book about your research is I'd love to know more about your writing process in general, but specifically like the research, because I feel like I've never written historical, like anything, and have read very little, but I figure in my head that the research has to be very on point. You need things to be accurate. And so what does your research process and your writing process kind of look like?
Yeah. I mean, the research is so fun for me. I enjoy it so much. I like to look at a lot of like texts from the period. So I'll just kind of like backtrack a little bit. So the first book in the series is, as you said, is about Selena, and she has this library that she starts because she's very passionate about sex education for women. So she starts this library, and it has a sort of secret catalog that has like medical textbooks and like erotic novels and all these different things. And I came up with this in my head, and I was like, all right, all of these books need to be real. I want this to be something that could realistically have existed. So that kind of like started me down this this rabbit hole of like finding all of these sexy books from like the 1700s and the early 1800s, you know? And it was so fun. I had the best time. Like I said, I'm a professor, so I do have a lot of experience with doing that kind of primary research. And so I kind of know like where you go, where you look for it, how you find things.
In the J store.
Yeah. I really love the British Library, and a couple of years ago they had like a really disastrous cyber attack, and it's made it really hard to do a lot of online research with them. They're almost back to normal now, but it's been years that the cyber attack has affected the British Library. I'm like, romance novelists need you. Come back.
Yeah. It's like the fires of Alexandria. But computers.
So, you're right, it is like the library of Alexandria. Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, so as I started doing this research and finding these books, I was stunned to see how many of them had sapphic scenes in them. I mean, I just really did not, like the first one I read, I was like, like look at that. The first scene is like between two ladies, and they're talking about these ladies, and they're like, oh yeah, some ladies like prefer other ladies, and some ladies, they just really want to have a good time. They don't really care. And I was like, wow, this is like a shockingly modern, like I really didn't expect to see that in a book that came out in 1748, you know, but yeah, that was just, you know, it was very normalized. And then the more I kept reading, the more I just kept seeing it everywhere. I ended up actually like publishing an academic article last year about like how much, like there's the vastness of the depiction of lesbian sex scenes
That's
in
amazing.
the 18th century.
I want to read that.
So yeah, it's so common.
The English majors in both of us were just like, what?
Yes.
What academic paper?
I'll send you. I can send you a link. It's this really fun article. It's published by the History News Network. They do kind of like public historians. And me and a friend of mine who is like a 19th century French scholar, and she does photography. Nice. So I think we called it something like "In Search of 19th Century Erotica, We Found Lesbians."
I love that.
Yes, I'm here for that. Yes.
So I just read tons of books and just really found just a lot of really delightful, fun, funny, cool history that I try to include as much as I can in the book.
Yeah, I loved that. I liked talking about the Easter eggs too. And then we got to your author's note and we were like, oh my God, I was right. I called it Ann Lister. It was totally Ann Lister. Yeah. The symbols in the letter, and she's talking about Ann Lister.
Yes, I love that. Yes, I'm so glad you caught my little Ann Lister Easter egg.
Yeah, I loved all the little lines that just really spoke to the importance of queer representation in queer literature as a whole. That is something that we've talked about multiple times on the podcast in varying degrees, and it's something that's very important to both of us. Mm-hmm. Like I've mentioned, it was very hard for me, and I'm not in the 1700s, to find any sort of representation. So I love hearing that there are those like breakthrough works that are there no matter how far back you look. So that's very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite erotica that you found as you were going through it?
I would love to tell you about this. So my favorite one is called, and I do reference it in the book, it's called Venus in the Cloister.
Okay.
And it is about, it's about two nuns.
Love it.
And what can I say? Can I say anything on this? Okay. Just checking before I get to it. Like, you asked me about erotica, so here I'm going straight in. So the older nun walks into the younger nun's room and finds her masturbating, and the younger nun is like very embarrassed, like, oh, I can't believe you saw me. And the older nun is like, why would you be embarrassed? She's like, let me show you how to do it. and you know, you can imagine, you think you can imagine where it goes from this. So there's like a sex scene, then they're done, and then they're like, let's talk about the patriarchy. Let's talk about, how the oppressive control exerted by masculine gender identity. And then they're like, and then they have sex again. And then they're like, let's talk about the state and how it's French. And they're like, let's talk about how the church has this power in the French state that causes people to fall in line and blah, blah, blah. And then they have sex again. And it just goes back.
It sounds like a normal Saturday night.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's perfect.
Typical first date, I feel like.
Fascism, like patriarchy.
So it just goes back and forth between like extremely explicit sex scenes, and then what they call like these dialogues between these two nuns, and they talk about like the male religious figures that they've encountered, and how the negative ways that that's impacted them, and kind of how religion is sometimes used as a tool and not necessarily like what we might hope religion to be, and just goes back and forth for a whole book.
That's amazing. I'm writing it down.
Yes, you take that note. Online.
Okay.
In the cloister.
Okay. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Definitely gonna check that out.
Yeah.
100%.
I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
And Venus means like
take nuns.
Sex. So it's basically called like Sex in the Nunnery is pretty much the title. The
have you seen Bernadetta? I know this is like a side. Have you seen Bernadetta? It's about Sapphic nuns. Well, ish. I mean, it gets really weird, but enjoyable. Yes. Weird and enjoyable. I was here for it. So I'm here for nuns. I'll revisit nuns at any point. Love it.
That's something I didn't know about you, so it's good to know.
Haley has a nun kink. Not really, but I don't know. I'll take it.
We did give our listeners a little bit of a disclaimer based on a true story that was told to me by someone who read the book. On if you are listening to it in particular, but also reading it, maybe don't do so right before you have to be professional in maybe a work meeting or so on and so forth. I had a friend who listened to the bathtub scene
so good
on the way to a work meeting and
listen,
frantically started texting me in the car, was like, I shouldn't have done that. That was not a good idea. I don't regret it, but also what am I going to do?
My face is flushed. Now I got to go talk to men.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
I'm sorry, but I'm also not at all.
But not sorry. Yeah,
don't be sorry. The bathtub scene for me was so fantastic. Like it was, chef's kiss, but it was also so sweet because Kat didn't know that it was Georgie's first time. And Georgie, I don't know, like it was just like I told her, I was like, if this is the way my first time went, like it would have changed my life. You know what I mean? Like she told her later that was the first time, and then the next scene, she's like, teach me your ways, which was shut up. But I just thought it was so tender and sweet.
It was.
Just and even her like telling her what to do, I feel like Georgie needed that in the moment because otherwise it could have been way awkward. But instead it was just like, take your clothes off, stand here, get in the bathtub, don't open your eyes, like this whole thing. And then Georgie's internal monologue of like, I really want to open my eyes right now, but I really want to please Kat in whatever way or capacity she could in that moment, because obviously Kat was at the wheel, so to speak. But it was just so great. It was so great. Yeah. That's all. That word doesn't really it doesn't sum it up the right way, but it was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Also, the mirror spice scene.
When the chair got drug over, I was like,
that was the point. Like it was the legs hooking. It was like
we talked about this in depth on the episode. There's probably a good 10 minutes of us just talking about that scene.
I love that.
Because it, I think, wrecked both of us. I read the book and then I reread it for the podcast. She read it for the first time for the podcast, and her live tweeting the text messages to me as she was reading it is one of the best things that's ever happened to me. But
I love it.
Yeah, when the chair got drug over, I was like, oh, I gotta hang on.
Oh my God.
This is going places.
Oh, it went places for sure.
Yeah.
Again, so patient. Kat was so patient and so sweet. And she's like, you want to learn? Baby, I got you. And then Georgie's like, no, I need more than that. Like, spread them, girl. I want to get in there. You know what I mean?
A quick study,
I mean, yeah. Oh my God.
Props to Georgie.
So here for it. So Georgiana is in other books. Yes? Is Kat in other books or just Georgiana?
No, I invented Kat for this book for Georgiana.
Okay.
It was a little gift I gave to my girl Georgiana.
She deserved it.
In the first book, Georgiana is 18, actually. So I had to kind of wait. I had to age her up for her to get her romance.
Yeah. I love that. But yeah, and I mean, and that tracks because Selena's library and all of that, like conflict and Georgie, revealing her pen name or had to happen, right? I can't wait to read more. I want to go back and start from the beginning, obviously.
Sure.
I didn't know that it was a part of a trilogy when I picked this one up. I just thought it was standalone, and then I got really excited when I knew that I could go back and revisit other characters. So thank you for that.
Yes,
Speaking of, did you start this with a trilogy in mind? Like, do you start it knowing that you're going to write a trilogy, or did you write your first book and then you're like, I could spin off all these characters, we need to know more?
This was the first book of the series, Ne'er-do-Well, is the first book that I had ever tried to publish. So I'd been writing forever. Literally, like, I wrote my first romance novella when I was 14. Like, I've been writing for so long, but I just never really pursued publication. But so finally I sort of got the nerve up to try, and decided to try to pursue publication with Ne'er-do-Well. So I did not know anything about publishing. So in my mind, I was like, you can do as many as you want. You know, I'm like, look at Bridgerton. Like, there's 8 of them.
Yeah.
8 of them, Bridgertons, you know. So I, in my mind, thought it would be 4. So like Ne'er-do-Well, Selena has to matchmake for this very disreputable duke, and she has these 3 kind of prospects for him, which one of them is Georgiana. Obviously, you know, would not have been a good match. So we've got Georgiana, and then Lydia, who's book 2 in the series, and then Iris. So I thought, okay, like, obviously, you know, none of them... Yes, Iris. So I was like, none of them are, you know, it's not going to work out with any of them, obviously. Yeah. So those 3 other ladies are each going to need their own book. So when I pitched it to the, you know, it sold, and I pitched it to the publisher, and they wanted to do 3. And all along I was thinking, well, I set it up as 4. Like, surely they're going to let me do the 4th. You know, I mean, even in Ladies in Hating, which is the last one, I really kind of teased like a story for Iris. Like, I really
I noticed that. I was like, she wants to know who this duke is that's coming back into town.
Yeah, the brother, right? Exactly.
The brother,
I have a whole synopsis for that book with Iris and the brother, and I mean, it's there. It's in my mind. It's like semi-written on paper. But they only wanted 3. And then when we came back around, I was like, so, like, how are we feeling about that 4th? But I guess the kind of general wisdom in publishing is that when you write a series, like, each subsequent book does a little worse. So they wanted me to, like, start fresh with a new series. So they did not want a 4th. But I don't know. I just feel like I kind of left it hanging. Like, it's really great. Like, what happened to Iris? You know what I
did
mean?
notice that. I noticed that for sure. She had a moment when she was translating that I was like, ooh, what's going on with Iris? For
I
sure.
really appreciated her nerdiness, too. The way she just zeroed in on translating, was like, don't talk to me. I'm working here.
I gotta do my work.
No, she does some cool stuff. She does some cool nerdy stuff in book 2 as well. She really is kind of like I don't know, like, you know how, like, in, you know, like, all those, like, procedurals, there's always, like, the one nerdy, like, computer girl. That's her. She's like,
I love it.
So maybe someday I'll self-publish it. I don't know. We'll see. The story's planned out.
We're here for it.
Yeah,
so.
we're totally here for it. Well,
so anyway, you had originally asked, like, how much did I have planned? And I had all the stories, not, like, fully planned, but I had, like, kind of a little pitch for them. So, like, with this one, I was like, Sapphic rival Gothic novelist. And they were like, great.
Love it.
That was, so I always knew kind of what her story was going to be. I just didn't have it fully fleshed out.
Yeah. I really loved the juxtaposition between Kat's family and her acceptance, and the way that she never feared love. It was never conditional when it came to her family, and Georgie's family, and how her father was like the epitome of oppression and just like awful, and she couldn't be herself and would never have told him, you know, I love women or whatever. And it would ultimately led to her downfall, or like being ostracized from the ton and all of that stuff when she came out with her. But seeing that was I really loved seeing them side by side, and seeing the relationship between Georgie and Kat dealing with it. Like Kat having to understand Georgie's point of view, because she'd never had to deal with not being accepted for anything. Like, never had to worry about it.
Right.
And her dad was bi, which was phenomenal. That was so great. I never see bi male characters in books. I told her maybe I'm just reading the wrong books, which I probably am. But I mean, it's probably on me.
We loved it, though.
I loved it so much. Yeah. It was so great. And so she never had to worry about it. And it was so sweet. Again, Kat having to understand, I feel like Georgie's story was much more like self-acceptance, and Kat's was much more like figuring out patience and how to, you know, like set boundaries and also support the woman that she had fallen in love with, which was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going for. And I really wanted, you know, at first Kat is like kind of resentful of Georgie, right? Georgie has this like, she has everything. She's the daughter of the house. She's, you know, she has this position. She's a lady. She's like this very successful novelist who's well educated. And I really enjoyed writing kind of Kat slowly realizing what she had, and that not that she ever took her family for granted, but just that she really had to see that like how much of an impact that had on her, feeling comfortable, feeling safe, kind of just being able to be kind of open and generous with Georgie. So just kind of her realizing what she had and what Georgie didn't have. I loved writing that.
I really resonated with Georgie. I felt like Georgie was gay panic in a body. Like, if gay panic was a person, it's Georgiana. Which, for me, as someone who suffers quite frequently with gay panic, I resonated with a lot. And so I really loved Georgiana as a character. There were so many moments where I felt like I could see myself doing the exact same thing, reacting the same way, and kind of with her inner monologue. But I really loved that character growth of her kind of realizing a little bit of the self-sabotage that she had been doing in the hopes of protecting the people around her. And but by the end of it being like, I'm going to be strong and I'm going to please Kat. And so I really loved that character growth for her throughout that book. So
I did too. I really needed to see that for myself because I don't identify with Georgie at all. And I kept getting so frustrated because I'd be like, get out of your own way. Like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you self-sabotaging? I would text her and I'd be like, why? She's doing it again. And she's like running away. And
I'm like, it makes perfect sense. I don't know what you're not understanding.
She's got to give Kat credit. Like, she's got to give her brothers credit. Like, she's not letting them make their own decisions, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're adults. They can choose on their own. And she's like, I'm poisoned. And I was just like, oh my God, if she was my friend, I would just shake her. Loved it so much. But it was definitely like, I was just like, oh my God, stop. But I loved it for her because she was like, no, I totally get it. It was great for her conversation because she was like, I would have done exactly the same thing. I'm protecting them. I'm keeping them safe. And I'm like, no.
I loved all the characters. I love the side characters. But I feel like the setting, especially Rennick House, became a character of its own. Yeah. So can you speak a little bit on your inspiration for that? Because it was creepy. Like, the way the description was, like, all the doorknobs were skulls, and there's the oratory with all the little tiny doors. That freaked me out. That was a fever dream. So can you kind of tell us what your inspiration was for that house that became a supporting character?
Yes. Okay. So they're both Gothic novelists, and so I really wanted to like pack this book full of as much like Gothic stuff as I could. So like a lot of the stuff that happened, a lot of the just like bonkers plot events of this book are like Gothic tropes. So like, you know, a secret baby and a secret inheritance, and you know whose inheritance is it, and who is really the son. That's all like super Gothic stuff. The like secret passageways in the walls is very common in Gothics. But so typically in a Gothic novel, you have a house, right? There's like a Gothic house. That's very common. And typically the house is bad. The house is like bad and evil and has this like dark history. So I wanted to kind of play with that because there is a bad, evil house with a dark history in this book, which is Georgiana's house, right? This house where she grew up that was so oppressive. And you wouldn't know from outside. Living and growing up in that house, and you know, experiencing domestic abuse and you know, the poverty that Kat's family was put into, all of that happens in this other house. And then so I wanted to play with it where the seemingly Gothic, creepy house with the skulls and this and that is actually very loving, right? And becomes this space of acceptance and safety for them. So I really, I just enjoyed playing with that trope. Also, it's based on a real house, which is called Fonthill Abbey. And Fonthill Abbey is just a bananas story. The guy, the guy who built it was sort of he had like a sort of a queer sex scandal, and he kind of just like, he was the richest man in England at the time, and he kind of was like, oh, okay, fine, I'm just going to go build my own house since I'm so scandalous. And he really wanted it to be gigantic, and he kept hiring architects, and they kept saying, it can't be that big, it can't be that gigantic. And so he just found someone who was willing to like take his money. And this architect would like go down and drink all day, and then he'd come back and be like, yeah, it's fine, we're building it, it's great. And it kept falling down. But the guy, William Thomas Beckford is his name, Beckford like kind of loved it, actually. His house was always in the papers for falling down, and he'd like take the newspaper articles and be like, here I am again in the papers.
There's no such thing as bad press.
Yeah, no such thing.
He loved it. And the house ended up crumbling. Like, you can still go see the ruins, but you can also visit his tomb, which is, he designed it himself. It is a polished pink marble sarcophagus. Yeah.
It's amazing.
An icon.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
That can be our next photo shoot for the podcast. Yeah, I really loved it. I am low-key obsessed with like haunted and kind of these iconic houses and architectural stuff. I went to a college that was on the like most haunted campuses in the United States list. It was creepy. We were talking about the tunnels in the house, and I was like, there were tunnels under our school. Like, I watched a girl crawl into one in one building, and she came out in another building, and I'm assuming it was still her that came out of it. It looked like her anyway. So yeah, it was, and there were houses around, our campus that were like that were just like mythical. And so I was always obsessed with it. So I really liked, this, and I'm definitely going to go look up the one that's the inspiration for it, because that sounds fantastic. I had a couple favorite quotes. There were a lot of like one-liners that hit me throughout this, but we talked about this one in particular. This may be my favorite line of literature to date. And I really wish I could figure out a way to work it into everyday conversation more. I don't know how. I'll let you know how that goes for me, but it's, your lack of underpinnings temporarily unhinged me. And I think about that quite often.
Yeah.
That's one of the best. As like as an English nerd, the sentence structure on that and the word choice is chef's kiss. So thank you for that.
I love that Georgie was just walking around commando though. Like,
yeah,
she's like,
well, yeah. So all right, we have to go historical here. So in the Regency, which is when all my books are set, they did not wear drawers. They did not wear under panties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They would wear like stays, like a corset. But if you had like a fairly thick dress that was like fairly stiff, you didn't necessarily need that. You know what I mean? So she's fine. She's good.
They were under a lot of layers of like wool and things, so it's fine.
I don't ever wear a bra.
Underpinnings? You don't wear underpinnings?
I don't wear underpinnings.
I have that one highlighted. It
talks about her small breast anyway, and I'm like, yeah, I get that. If you've got small boobs, like, why? Like, why do you need? You don't need that. Yeah, save on fabric. There's enough in the world. You know what I mean? I saw on your website that you do online courses, and I love that so much.
Yes.
Like writing courses. Do you want to talk about them?
Sure. Okay. So yes, certainly. I've just started doing it. So, you know, we're sort of in the beginning stages. I'm always talking about like on my social media, like this is the book I'm reading in class, or this is what I'm, people are always like, oh, I wish I was in your class. I wish I could take your class. So I was like, all right, would you guys want me to offer like a how to write a romance novel course? I've been teaching, for, for almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years next year.
Congrats.
And thank you. And I have an MFA in creative writing. So even though I teach literature, I also have some experience teaching creative writing. So So I was like, yeah, all right, let's do it. So it's ongoing. It's happening right now. The first one ever that I offered. I'm having a really good time. I'm definitely planning to do it again, maybe like 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah, it's been really fun. It's been, kind of, we started with like talking about line level writing and then scenes, like creating a scene between characters. And now this week we're talking about story structure. I'm going to have a class on spicy scenes. Yeah, so I think it's been really fun so far. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I love that. We both write, and I saw that online, and I was like, that's amazing. Yeah, I would love, especially with an author that you already love, their writing and their style. Like, that would be such a fantastic insight to not only writing, but just your writing style. I'm sure, like, do you outline? Do you storyboard? Do you write in order? Like,
Yeah, I'm a big outliner, and I definitely write in order. I've said this in the course, like, there are many, many, many ways to get to the end of a book, right? Like, you do not have to do what I do. So I'll talk about my process. That doesn't mean it has to be, anyone's process. But yes, I write in order, and I don't know how people don't, because if I didn't, I would just write all the fun scenes, and then I'd be like, well...
I would skip all that stuff that you have to get through to get to the fun scenes.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah. I don't like to write, obviously, like, I write comedy. I don't like to write, like, when they're sad. I get really sad and I cry, and then I can't feel better until I, like, fix them. I would just never write those scenes. I would just be like, well, they're just happy.
They're happy all the time.
Having sex, declaring their love. Conflict free.
I would also read that, but I understand conflict is important.
I did tear up. I thought the Georgie reuniting with her brothers and the way that happened was really sweet. And the scene where she's going off with Kat to look for Jim, and she's surprised that Ambrose is going with her. And he's like, I just got you back. I'm not going to lose you again. And I was like, I'm not crying. You're crying. So what was your kind of thought process behind the brothers? Because Kat has 2 brothers, and then we have Jim, Georgie has 2 brothers, and then Kat has a brother, Jim, who I adored as well. He was so cute. So did you know where that was going kind of from the beginning with those characters as well?
Well, I knew I wanted Georgiana to have to go back and kind of, like, face her fears with her family. I knew that was going to happen. I didn't really have much planned with her brothers, but I love to write secondary characters, and I put them in, and then they take a life of their own, and then I'm like, how did Ambrose and his wife meet? Maybe they need a romance, I'm like,
or Percy. I loved Percy.
Percy was great. Yeah. His personality was fun. That's kind of like I really appreciated all of the secondary characters in this because they felt fully fleshed out to me. Like, they didn't feel like they were there just to kind of be a placeholder. And so I really loved it. There was a moment when Georgie goes back to Kat's place with, like, an armload of pies, and her and Jim kind of, like, toast, like, clink pies together. And I don't know why that just stuck with me as the most adorable scene. So
Thank you so much. I just love to write secondary characters, and it's just really fun for me. And so a lot of times I won't really have them too planned out. I'll just sort of have, like, a placeholder, like, the brothers. And then when I write them, then they kind of just come to life. It's just a really delightful, joyful part of the writing process for me. But then I fall in love with them, and then I'm like, oh no, they need a story. Oh no, they do.
Yeah. If you do a Sir Francis Bacon spinoff, I'm also down for that.
He's in all the books. He's in every single book, so you can definitely get more Bacon content. The second book in the series, she has a lot of brothers too. I don't know what was happening. Everyone had a lot of brothers in the series. But yeah, she's the youngest. She has 4 older brothers. And oh my God, I loved those brothers. I pitched so hard a spin-off series. I was like, please, I'm in love with these brothers. I have to write their books. But they didn't. They did not. They wanted my
Didn't take the
pirate
bait.
series, so we got pirates instead.
I'm stoked about some pirates.
Yeah,
It's going to be
I do
fun.
love some
It's going to be
pirates.
great.
Thank you.
So this is something that we've talked about with a couple of other authors, and it happens organically every time. But now I've just decided that it's a thing that I'm going to ask because it keeps popping up. Have you ever written fan fiction or been influenced by fan fiction? And if so, what's your taste?
So I kind of like was very late to like fan fiction. Like I knew it
Same.
existed, but it was one of those things where I was like, how do you know where to start? You know what I mean? Like you click on AO3 and it's like there's 5 million. I was like, what do you know, like how do I find anything? You know, so I was actually very late to fan fiction. I've written one fic that I was at the time I had to like invent the fandom. Like it didn't even exist on AO3, but I was just like, I really want this thing to exist. Now there's more works in that fandom, so
Well, now you have to tell us.
What was
Unless
the
it's a secret.
fandom?
You
I
can
mean,
say
you don't
no,
have
but-
to, but
keep revealing that information. I will take that to my grave.
that's fair. You're not
Okay,
the first person.
Some people
to
are
say
like,
that,
I will
so.
never talk about my fan fiction writing ever. And then
No.
some people,
Yeah, that's okay. That's
I
totally
don't
fair.
even know. So like it's for a book series and that author has blurbed me and like I would die actually if she knew that I had like written fan fiction of her. I would crawl.
That's 100%
under my
fair.
bed.
fair.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Obviously. So fair.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody else is like, The X-Files.
That's a popular
Julian
one.
Anderson. Like, everybody
mean,
loves Julian Anderson.
We established she was a gay awakening for a lot of people.
For a lot of
so
people.
it's
Yeah,
fine.
so I get it.
True.
Yeah. It came up originally because fan fiction was the first queer literature that I was ever able to get my hands on. And so that seems to be kind of a running, vein for a lot of people who are either very good, big fans or writers or both. So, but yeah, it is daunting trying to get in that for the first time because there's a lot out there for sure.
I went for sole purpose, and so I didn't even look at anything else. I was only going for one thing and one thing only.
I think that's smart. Yeah, you're just dive straight in.
Yeah. Well, this
But
has
no,
been so much fun.
I think you're absolutely right that like queer romance was really flourishing in fic spaces for a long time before, self-publishing or certainly before traditional publishing really took it seriously. I mean, I can still remember when like some of the first like big 5 trad published like queer romances were coming out, and it was like, oh, we're doing this, So
Yeah.
So for me, like I said, I started reading romance really early when I was quite young. And so I was in RWA in college. When that was happening was when we were just starting to see queer romance novels. So like J.R. Ward, I don't know if you know her, Suzanne Brockman. Suzanne Brockman was like really probably the first like huge major bestseller that did queer romances. And I still remember this, like RWA gave her an award, but then there was a big thing going on at the time that they were trying to vote on were queer romances allowed in RWA. So RWA, for anyone who's listening who doesn't know, that's Romance Writers of America. It sort of exists, but it doesn't really exist anymore. But at the time it was huge. And there was a vote, like members could vote, like, are queer romances allowed? Or is RWA's definition one man and one woman? And I was like, what? So then they give Suze Brockman this like Lifetime Achievement Award, and they told her she wasn't allowed to talk about gay marriage. Like they were like, so you can accept your award, but when you go up there, you gotta just no political stuff. And she was like, what are you giving me the award for then?
Yeah.
It was just wild. So I feel like I was really reading some of that as it was coming out, but kind of before I ever knew anything about fan fiction. But I think you're absolutely right that that's huge in fan fiction and where a lot of queer authors got their start.
Well, yeah. I mean, because we were all saying everyone die, or like the queer characters die, or they have a terrible tragic end, or they get written off the show, or they're just like not given the spotlight.
You can tell that they should have been together, but we didn't get the happy ending.
They were just roommates.
They were just roommates. But I remember distinctly walking into a Barnes and Noble as an adult and seeing a whole section of just LGBTQ literature, like the sign above it, like they were celebrating it. And that was the first time I realized like things in literature had started to change, because I would walk into a bookstore as a kid and dig and still not find anything. And so the fact that I can just, go into any, major bookstore or indie bookstore in my neighborhood and pick up this, and I'm just like, that's fantastic. So I love it now.
Yeah, I love it so much.
No, but you're absolutely right that with TV shows, like I still remember I loved Buffy. I was so into Buffy. And then when they killed Tara, I was legitimately very upset. Like I was really,
I've never recovered from that.
Yes.
Honestly.
Well, Heated Rivalry has healed me, I think. I actually tried to write a think piece like a couple weeks ago about Buffy and Tara and Heated Rivalry, and then I was like, all right, Alex, you're being wacky right now. Like, just put it
No, absolutely 100% with you on that. Buffy fanfiction was the first fanfiction I found. There's a website that is nothing but Willow and Tara fanfiction. That is all they do. So that was my first taste. AO3 came later for me, but yeah, I started dove right into Willow and Tara fan fiction because I wanted that happy ending that they didn't give us on the show.
Yeah.
That they deserved. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm so mad about it.
Yeah. I wrote a paper that I wrote an essay that won a scholarship to go to kind of like a queer Comic-Con, but I got to go for free for writing about Willow and Tara and their that, because it was a big part of my coming out journey and my queer journey in general was watching that happen, and then they took it away from me.
Yes, exactly. I just remember being so happy. Like I was like, I can't believe I'm seeing this, and like there were such a sweetness to their romance, and just like it was so gentle and tender, and I was so happy, and like I couldn't believe it. Yeah, and then they took
she
it away.
did not. That didn't do anything for the story except make me mad. So I'll die
make
on
me
that
furious. Well, we all know Joss Whedon is not our.
Yeah, that's a whole different podcast. But yeah, thanks for bringing up one of my true passions in life, which is Buffy.
Should we talk about it? I feel like Buffy comes up on every episode somehow.
Oh my gosh! This is so exciting.
I rewatch it at least once a year. So I usually skip through a lot of the first season just because their budget was low and it's a little painful to watch some of that. But yeah.
I used to have a cat named Wesley after Wesley from the Buffy and Angel verse. Yeah.
Yeah. Willow obviously was always one of my favorite characters. So yeah,
of course.
Well, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. Obviously, we loved your book.
Yeah,
and we're going to go read more.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us and let us fangirl a lot for you. But
thank you for having me. I'm so happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us or remind us a little bit what's coming out next for you and when we can expect that? Because we're going to be waiting.
Yes. Okay. So in next month, I have this one. It's coming out. So this is, it's 2 novellas. So these were originally self-published, and then the publisher bought them, and they were ebook only. Then they got audiobooks, and then now it's been years. They're finally coming out in print. So I'm very just overjoyed that this is finally happening after all these years. And so this was the thing I was saying, that the first thing I ever published has a bi heroine. That's the first novella in this. She is like, if I relate to a character, it's this one. She is like a bisexual ADHD menace.
I love that.
So that's the first.
We stand all of that. So that's great.
So it is 2 novellas that happen simultaneously. So that's out next month. Then I have this start of a new series. It's called Scandalous Summer. It's coming out in June. This is my pirates. So this one, the third one is going to be sapphic. It's sort of a sapphic princess and bodyguard romance.
Oh, yeah.
So we meet the princess. We'll see a little bit of her. You get a teaser for that romance in this first one. So yeah.
Nice.
Are you doing just as much research about pirates as you did?
God, I hate boats now. I hate them. I never want to think about boats again.
The vocabulary you must have to learn just for that alone
Scurvy.
is crazy. Not that, like the parts of the boat.
I'm like, get off the boat. I can't look up anything else. You're gonna have to dock it, put anchor
Get back on land.
You're getting off the boat. Actually, I'm going to tell you my authorly trick is that any scenes when they're on the boat, I try to put them in the other character's perspective, so she can be like, "Oh, look at the sails are doing sail stuff."
Sail things.
The sails are doing sail stuff.
Yeah,
that's a good trick. I'll have to remember that.
Just switch the point of view.
Yeah. I feel like that's the equivalent of like, oh, look, a pretty rock.
Yeah, right.
Distract them a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm excited for all of that.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Thank
you again so much.
Truly my pleasure. I was so lovely to meet you. I had such a great time.
Ditto. Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.